And we're back. Welcome back to the Beyond the Coach podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kelsey Nanini.
And I'm Chris Sweet.
And we're going to be talking about what the fuck's going on. Because life really do be life in 2025. That's
2025 has not been, it's been a character building year for us. It started so strong for us. I will say that. Like, it started strong. We ended 2024 knowing we were merging, went into 2025, rocked our freaking merge, did our announcements. Everything was great. And then I feel like after January, things just started.
I fear 2025 has been worse than 2020.
I fear that you are correct.
I'm like, at least at that point, I didn't have a job. I was just hanging out.
Oh, you could just hang out with your dogs and like have no responsibilities.
Literally, yeah, it was great.
It was.
Not that my job is like a job, but it, I could just do nothing back then.
Say like work hasn't even been the challenge. It's like our personal life has been the challenge. Like,
for sure.
Our personal life has been rocked in every shape and form. Not really every shape and form. It's a little dramatic, but we wanted to center this episode around the fact that like, well, we went into 2025 and like you had all these training goals. I had training goals. I was like, I remember starting 2025 being like, I'm going to be freaking like unrecognizable by the end of the year. Like, you just wait. Like, I'm going to be a whole new person. I was humbled very quickly. It was like a train just smacked me on the way into 2025. And needless to say, a lot of our goals have changed and a lot of our focuses have changed. And that can be really overwhelming for anyone. And I think it's something that a lot of ex-athletes and entrepreneurs, people who hold themselves to like this really high standard, experience this weird identity crisis, this weird lull in their journey. They don't really know. They feel directionless. They just feel like they don't know where to go with it. So we figured that this would be a good episode to share kind of what the fuck's been going on really in our lives and our health, and then ultimately transfer that into talking a bit about our goals and kind of how we're recentering ourselves around it. So Miss Kelsey, why don't you tell us about your 2025? You know, what you thought going into 2025, what you expected this year to be.
Yeah.
And now, unfortunately, what it has to be, sadly.
Yes. So I went in 2025. I actually don't know when I had officially decided upon this. I think it must have been like November or December that I was like, I'm going to run a half marathon before I turn 30. And so we signed up for one. It was on June 1st in San Diego. We had a family vacation planned. So we were actually going to spend like 2 weeks in California. And everything was going super well, actually. I was like, wow, like running's actually finally easy for me, and like it was feeling so good, and I was finally to the point like turning a corner where running wasn't not a drag, but it was actually, like I just said, coming easy to me. Like I was like, wow, it's like I've trained for this point. I've worked on really like zone 2 running and not going as hard as possible, and things felt so good. My knee wasn't bothering me, and that was like the big thing I was hoping to accomplish with the half, was like, I am going to prove that even with multiple knee surgeries, you can still do hard things that you couldn't think possible. I know if anyone on here has had like a serious injury, when it happens, like I remember when the second knee surgery happened, people were like, oh my gosh, you're never going to be the same. And like people would literally say that to me. Like it was actually mind boggling to me. And so my whole thing was like, no, I'm going to be better. Like I will come back stronger because of this. And once you hurt your knee, you're kind of just at more of a risk of like re-injuring it. So I was playing volleyball. We play in a weekly league, and volleyball was what has always injured my knee. The one thing that I've always been able to depend on since 3rd grade. Played it through college, and like it's just been my thing. But has always taken my knee away from me. So we were playing in a rec league, and I just like jumped up for a ball, and while I was like in the air, I felt like a weird pop. And I landed. It was actually really embarrassing because I was trying to like tip a ball over, and I completely missed it. Completely missed the ball.
It's the worst when you don't even get to finish what you started. Like for me, I tore my ACL going in for a goal in soccer. Didn't make the goal. Could have at least made the goal in my head. Like could have at least given me something.
Yeah, but no. It was embarrassing and everyone was laughing. And I was like, but I didn't want to tell anyone at that point because I was like, well, whatever it is, like it felt okay. Like it like kind of done that a few different times too in volleyball, but nonetheless, went to the next game, and then I like went for another ball, like lunged for it, and I was like, oh, something's wrong. So I didn't get it tested out, like or checked out. Like I kind of know by this point, like what it is. I'm like pretty familiar with the structure of my knee. So again, I don't really feel the need to get it tested out. I'm actually starting back up with my PT online. And she was really helpful the first time with my ACL and getting me back to normal-ish. But I'm pretty sure I tore my meniscus or partially tore it, but it's feeling fine now. Like it's feeling perfectly fine. Wouldn't even know I had an injury. And that's the weirdest part about knees is it does take time. So that was, I think, going on 6 weeks ago. So like maybe 5 weeks ago.
When did you do
So
your high rocks?
February 2nd.
Okay.
Yeah. And it felt fine then. So yeah, that was fun. I guess High Rocks was definitely like at least I got something out of the way this year. This was the year I was going to be doing High Rocks and a half marathon, and then my husband and I were actually considering doing a High Rocks in September as well. But for right now, I'm just using this year to rebuild my knee. The hardest part has definitely been like when you go from running and like building up your heart rate. Like my heart rate is so strong, or was like my cardiovascular system, my respiratory system, like everything was so much stronger than what it had been, to then trying to do cardio when you have like a strong system, like trying to incline walk is impossible to like actually feel anything. Like my heart rate stays at 120. It's just not like really challenging for me. So like trying to find cardio, because I want to keep cardio in, it makes me feel better when I do it in conjunction with lifting. So that has been like my biggest challenge outside of obviously like managing pain. But luckily my inflammation has gone down and like everything is back to normal. My PT was like, it's not like we can't get back into some running if you want to. Like I've given it the time to like cool off. So part of me had this thought the other day. I was like, when I was talking to her, I was like, well, what if I just tried to still run the half? And I was like, that's a bad idea. It just got flared up, and like it's just the pounding like constantly on pavement was not fun for it. So 2026, maybe 2027, we'll do it. We'll do it again. And I think the like biggest sign for me was when my husband ran the Pat Tillman. It's like a 4.2 mile race, which I was so pumped to run this year. I was like, I'm gonna crush my time from last year. I still paid the entry fee because I had already signed up for it, but I indeed did not do it. But I didn't have any FOMO, so that was like a good sign. I was like, it's okay. I'm not as upset about it this time around, and I think it's because I can still do all the things I need to do. I also waited a year on my last surgery to do anything, like to get surgery, so I'm like still open to that. I'd rather not get surgery if I don't have to. So that's kind of the goal right now, is to like maintain like keep pain down or non-existent at all, strengthen back up and not have to get surgery again, because that is not fun.
Yeah, not fun. Been there, done that twice. Not great.
Nope, not a good time.
Yeah, well, at least the meniscus, on a good note, is very much one that you can work on rehabbing and you don't have to rely on surgery. But of course, if you have long-term goals that are getting impacted continuously from it, even after rehab, then it
And you
makes
can
sense.
live without it. Like you can clip it out, and it's not that big of a deal. It's actually sometimes better for people. Like I don't think it fully got repaired the first time, or maybe it like got it loosened up after the repair, because I was still having like a lot of issues in my rehab the first time, or the second time around, I guess. So
Isn't it funny being in your late 20s and like you just ache? Like you just have pain. I'm like, I am always in pain. There's always something happening. Like this is 28. This is where we're at right now. We're working on it.
this is normal. This is fine.
Yeah. But yeah, certainly not fun by any means, but if anything, you'll honestly be so freaking proud of yourself come 2026, 2027 when you're doing all the things again and not
Yes.
having to worry about your knee, hopefully. I also
Yeah.
love working just with a physical therapist, period, like in
Yeah.
any area of life, because I just think there's always something to work on. And I feel like I learned so much from working with a physical therapist too.
For sure.
So that'll be awesome for you to have that experience with her.
Yeah. First thing I said when I got on the call was she was like, "It's been a while since we've seen each other." I was like, "I was hoping to never have to see you in this capacity again, in the nicest
Yeah.
way possible." I was like, "Love you, love working with you." Was really hoping this wasn't gonna, come
So
up, but
fair. There's
here we
definitely a
are.
lot of people in our lives that you enjoy the service that you have with them, and then you're like, okay, like, but now I hope I never have to see you
Yeah.
ever again. Thank you.
Yeah.
Not to make it sad, but I had to I had to say I sent an email to Bo's oncologist when Bo had passed, and I just thanked them so much because they were like the most amazing oncology team we could have asked for. And I was like, my hope is that nobody has to see you, that I never have to see you again, but I absolutely know, like, if I know of anyone in this circumstance or if I'm back in this circumstance, I know the exact team to, rely on. And they said the
Yeah.
same thing. They're like, well, we hope to literally never see you again. Like, if you need anything, we're here. I'm like, it's a mutual understanding that we
Yeah.
just don't want to see each other again.
We don't
Like,
want repeat customers. Like they don't want they
no,
don't
they're
need a
like,
lead generation.
you paid your dues, like we're good, but
Yeah.
do tell people about us, obviously, if something comes up.
Sad.
That's how I feel with my physical therapy stuff, which I've been in physical therapy for nearly 2 years now. So I guess kind of going into my what the fuck is happening in my life. I spent the last 2.5 years, 2 years really, rehabbing a back injury in 2023, 2024. The back injury had started late 2022 and never really got an answer as far as what was wrong. Like I'd done all the scans, all the things. Regardless, kind of was determined that it was like a nerve issue or something going on in my nerves in my low back, and did a few like nerve block procedures. And my last nerve block procedure that I had at the end of 2023 was successful and has given me relief, which is amazing. So I very much went into 2025 like, this is going to be amazing. Like, I can work on my strength again, because for comparison, like 2022, I was aspiring to do a powerlifting comp and then had my back injury in the mix of that. And so I just feel like for nearly 2 years, almost 3 years, I just haven't been allowed to have a goal outside of like be healthy and just like be pain free. And it's been a longer journey than I expected it to be. So going into 2025, I was like, this is going to be my year. I'm going to train. I'm going to like get strong again. My body, like physique wise, thrives when I'm really, really strong. So I was like, I'm just going to be a fucking beast, was like my main intention. So I went into the start of the year hiring a new coach, and her and I decided to put myself into a deficit to lose some body fat before we kind of went more into just like full strength mode. And I was very much in alignment with it after nearly 2 years of obviously back injury and just like not feeling the best. I was like, yeah, let's go into a deficit. Let's reduce some body fat, help me feel more confident, help me really embody more of like my health and what I want to show for it. So we had started that in late January, because it was when I came to Arizona. So that was like the first week of my deficit was ironically traveling. But it all went well. It was great.
Right.
And I just had this whole goal. I was like, I'm going to go into this like 12 to 16 week deficit. Once the deficit is done, then I'm just going to really be in maintenance. Like I was like, I just want to be in maintenance paired with working on my strength and just getting like strong as heck again, and just seeing where my food intake could kind of land with that, since it's been a while of having food intake that's obviously paired with like as strong as I used to be. So I just wanted to see like what my body could do. And then obviously things did not go as planned, because in February I ended up with the flu for like 2.5 weeks. It just completely knocked me out. It was horrible. I don't know what was going on with the flu this go around this year, but it was like, I think it was knocking so many people out between clients, friends, family, people I knew that was getting it. It was brutal. So I ended up actually losing like a lot of weight, because I was just like not able to eat. I was just sleeping. I just could not function. I was nauseous every time I tried to eat. It was like the most undesirable experience. So kind of got out of that, hit the reset. And really, when I say reset, it was like I just picked up where I left off. It's not like I changed anything or I allowed myself like an extended period of time of just saying like, oh well shit, like, okay, that's not gonna work now. I'm just gonna like whatever, fuck around. And I didn't want that. I was like, okay, we'll get right back to the deficit. So got back into the deficit. Come March time, I was doing really well in it. And then we went to Mexico, and Mexico really rocked our fucking worlds for sure. Um, we were in a scooter accident, and
And when you say
that
scooter, so many people thought I was talking about a razor, like a moped. We were on a moped.
we were on a motorized
A
vehicle.
motorized vehicle. This was not a razor scooter. Like,
This thing had horsepower. Like it was like it could pick up. Even though
yeah.
we were going like 10 miles per hour when it happened.
Thank goodness. Like, it could have been so much
Thank God.
worse.
Yes, thank God. So we got on a scooter, got into an accident. Luckily, like no one was involved in the accident. Literally, it was us in a sidewalk. Like, thank God that that's how it was. Kelsey had gotten some banged up bruises, scratches, all of that.
My thumb still
I
looks cute. It's
Oh yeah,
just
she's
hanging
juicy.
on, yeah, for dear life. But it's fine now. It's growing back.
Yeah, it's
If
I
that's
don't
the
know.
worst that happened to me, I'm fine.
I know if that's the worst, then we'll take it.
Yeah.
I ended up with a pretty bad sprained ankle. I also got traveler's diarrhea, not to be TMI, but like that really rocked my world too. I was like not well in Mexico. And I came home from the accident, and just for some context, like the accident had happened on a Saturday and we weren't leaving till Tuesday or
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Wednesday. So I was like, I'm just gonna rally. Like, I'm just gonna make this work. And like Kelsey firsthand saw that some of my like absurd requests of being like, oh, I could walk like 2 miles somewhere and do all these
With our
things
suitcases on cobblestone.
with
I
our
was like,
suitcases on cobblestone. And I was pretty banged up. Like I had road rash. I had a pretty bad mark on my like hip, which I still have actually. I'm like, will my skin ever be the same there? But I ended up with some pretty bad road rash, which was like actually the most painful. And
yeah.
then after a couple days, my ankle had progressively gotten worse. And I think I didn't realize my ankle was as bad as it was simply because in my head, it was like the adrenaline of like, we're here for the next 4 days, like just shut off all emotions, like shut off your pain and like just make it work and get through it. So I actually ended up managing pretty well the last few days in Mexico. Granted, we weren't really doing a whole lot of stuff. Like we
Yeah.
left it as more of like a chill time. So that was nice. But on our flying day home on Wednesday, that was when it was like the worst of it. Like walking through multiple airports on a sprained ankle, then flying and being 30,000 feet in the air. And then obviously getting home, having to handle my luggage between airports as well. Because the worst part of flying from Mexico and then you have a layover in the States is that you have to grab your luggage and then bring it to the new baggage claim. And I was like, I was unwell landing in Atlanta. I was like, okay, now I have to go lug an overweight bag too. My bag was like 55 pounds. I gave Delta that overweight fee and I was like, they were like, oh, your bag's overweight. Do you want to try to take things out? No, take my money. Just take it. I'm not paying. I am paying. I'm not going to pay the price of me taking stuff out with a sprained ankle in pain with road rash. Like these people did not know the condition I was flying in. And I was just in rough shape coming home. And then once I came home, I pretty much hit a wall. It was just like I suddenly couldn't put pressure on it. I couldn't walk on it very well. I was like so uncomfortable. And it just felt like all basically the pain that I was kind of pushing through for those 4 days, plus flying, had just like hit me pretty bad. So that's when I went to the doctor and they were like, yeah, you have like a pretty bad banged up, like sprained ankle. And it's a high ankle sprain and it's on the inside of my foot, which are like two of the worst things that can happen basically when you're thinking of an injury of a sprained ankle. I've played soccer and basketball my whole life. Sprained ankles are not like new to me, but they were always on the outside of my foot, not the inside. So an inside sprain is horrible. I do not recommend it. It's very tough and it takes really long to recover from. So I ended up in a boot. Worked I thankfully was already working with physical therapists for my back, so we ended up just kind of switching gears a bit, doing some ankle work, and now obviously here we are. On top of all of that, my dog passed away. I ended up with an emergency eye surgery from the accident as well because of blunt force trauma to my head. it's just been like one thing after another. So needless to say, my coach and I were like, we're not doing this deficit right now. Like, it's not worth it. And I totally agree. I'm like, it's not, like, it's added pressure, it's added stress. If life is just lifing sometimes, like, as much as I am definitely someone who's like, I can work through it, I can get past it. It's like, at what expense and at what cost, and really like, what's going to be the reward at that? Like, I'm not going to be in the deficit and doing the things in the deficit that I want to do. Like, couldn't do cardio, couldn't do leg days, like, was just limited to upper body. Like, at what point, what am I trying to do? Like, I'm just throwing spaghetti at a wall, hoping that it sticks, just hoping that this deficit would continue. And I just didn't want to go significantly low with calories either, because if you're recovering from an injury, like, your body needs that fuel and needs to be able to rebuild, and your body can't heal in a deficit a lot of the times. Like, it just takes longer. And your body is literally in an energy deficit. So I am now not in a deficit. I'm currently right below maintenance. Like, we're kind of like working my way up. Just with everything through grief and stress, like, I definitely haven't had the biggest appetite. So just trying to navigate that right now. And I definitely want to be back on my bullshit. Like, that's what I want. I want to just feel like I'm back on it. And that comes in the form of getting to the gym, checking the boxes, doing things pain-free. I still have to wear my boot during my leg days right now, mainly on things that put pressure against my sprain, because I still have like all the bruising. But other than that, I feel like I'm finally, after what, like a month and a half, getting somewhere or in a better place than I was a month and a half ago or even 2 weeks ago. So yeah, we're just chugging along. Like, what the fuck happened, man? Like, it just was one thing after another.
It quite literally was one
I
thing
paid
after
my
another.
dues for the year. I would just like the rest of 2025 to be smooth sailing in an ideal world.
Yes. That would be nice, wouldn't it? We
It
can only
would.
hope. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. How do you feel like you were like showing up for yourself in that time and like and everything you had to do?
Um, I think that's a good question, actually. Um, I really had to, I always talk about the barrier to entry, and I think I really had to get honest with myself of like, what am I expecting of myself during this time? I actually started picking up a lot more self-care things, like, and just stress management behind the scenes. I've started journaling every single night. I have been listening to a lot more podcasts. I've just been like kind of surrounding myself with better energy, if anything. I also have had to say no to a lot of things as well. And I think that that's okay. I'm definitely someone who's easy to say yes to all the events and all the things and see all the people. And it's like, I just needed to take a pause. Like, I just needed to be like, I energetically love my people so much, but do not have the capacity to like pour in. Because when you're in the thick of the trenches, it's almost hard to surround yourself with like happy people. It's hard to surround yourself with people who are winning, not because you want them to lose, not because of anything like that, but when you are just in the trenches, it's really hard. And it's sometimes just better for you and better for the other person to just have a little bit of that space. So I found myself like saying no, journaling, spending a lot more time with myself, trying to find joys of like being at home, but at the same time, actually getting myself out of the house where I could. Because when you're battling injury and you work from home, I felt like my home was like closing in on me, and I just felt claustrophobic. Like, the walls were just all I was seeing. And probably after sulking for like 1.5 weeks post coming back from Mexico, I was like, okay, I need to start like putting myself in coffee shops or like trying stuff, new things. And so I actually started a series on my Instagram that's like, try something new with me every single week. And that's been something that kind of forces me to try something new or do something that gives me a joy outside of just like health and fitness. Yeah, and then just the basics, like tracking my food and giving myself grace, but not giving myself in the grace of I'm not taking action. It's giving myself grace of like, let me figure out my baseline right now. Like, let me just figure out what life looks like and what my body needs, what I need. And kind of going from there and easing myself back into the gym as well. You know, I'm not expecting myself to go 0 to 100. And I think it was you that made this point to me, actually, maybe last week or something. I was getting back into the gym post Bo passing away, and maybe it was you that made the comment where you were like, well, thank God, in a weird way, like, thank God you almost have the injuries that you do,
Yeah,
because it's like forcing you to slow down. Because like just I think I just needed to be forced to slow down and like go into this
for sure.
season. And I will say, as sucky as the ankle injury was, looking back at it, like when I had the ankle injury, Bo ended up passing actually like a month and 2 days later after flying home from Mexico. I'm kind of really grateful for the time that I got to slow down. Like, I want to say that too, that I got to be so intentional with my time with Bo, with my family. Like, it really put things into perspective of just how fast paced I was trying to be. So, really, just slowing down was
Yeah.
like a blessing that I didn't know at the time. Like, when I first got home, I was frustrated laying in bed. I look back and I'm like, dang, but I just got to like lay with Bo and hang with him and sit outside with him when it was nice and like just be in his presence. And little did I know what was going to come a month later. And I'm just so grateful for that now. And I think practicing gratitude for seasons that aren't as ideal as you want them to is important as well.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, I know. I was like, I feel awkward saying this, but I think it's gonna help. It's like sometimes you just things happen so that you do have to slow down, and like it's just good you had those last like memories that you could make with him too.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I'm really, in a weird way, practicing gratitude of this season. Equally, I'm ready to kind of hit acceleration a bit, but not acceleration of like fat loss and all these things, like more of just like embodying the life I want to live again, because it's just felt like I haven't really been able to fully do that. So I want to take advantage of my time while we're here before we move. I want to just do things that bring me joy and like not force myself to do things that don't. And my hope would be that like I can get my pain this year into a really good place, because I would like to do something next year, if that is like a high rocks or just starting to do like small runs like 5Ks, 10Ks. I probably will never do a half marathon in my lifetime. If I do, that's crazy. I'll have to go listen to this episode back if I ever decide that. But I do want to get into more of the competitive mindset. However, I have to recognize that like I'm here right now. I can't try to fixate on where I want to be. And that goes for any ex-athlete that's kind of going through this weird injury period, life's lifing. It's like, I know you so badly want to be doing those things, but your body's telling you no, and you have to honor that. But there's still so much joy that can happen in this season of life, and so much progress you can make that actually sets you up for
Yeah.
success come 6 to 12 months from now, right? Like, you're doing rehab for your knee, and it's like that's setting your foundation up for way more success than if you tried to go push through and run this half marathon. At what cost is that happening? Let's say you ran the half marathon and like something worse got injured or something else
Yeah,
happened. You don't know until time passes and you're like, dang, okay, I finally understand the perspective of all this shit that's going on. But I'm really trying to be, I don't know, thankful for the season of slowing
yeah,
down and seeing that maybe it was what I needed in the grand scheme of things without me knowing.
for sure. It's like hard to come to terms with, but you're like, yep, like this is for a reason.
Yep, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think gosh, another point I was going to make, it just like left me for a second. Oh my gosh. I had a thought. It'll come back to me. It was a thought about injury. Otson has something to say about that.
Is our pool guy. That's in loves when he comes to visit.
Guys, Kelsey has a pool guy in my head every
comes-
single
is
single
weekly.
day. Feels like every day. I'm like, there's always a pool man.
Yeah. It just so happens
Always
it's
there.
every Wednesday when we're recording this.
Which is why it feels like every day when I see you, I'm like, there's
Yep.
another man at your house?
Again?
Again? What's happening? Well, my thought will eventually come back, but I guess like reversing the question back to you, like, how have you been taking care of yourself or like managing all of this during this time of change for your own health and fitness?
Just been like giving myself grace, but not using. I think a lot of times, like, you can use things that happen to you as just like an excuse to stop caring for yourself. It's like, well, if I can't do this, like, what's the point? And I think it could be very easy when you get an injury that obviously, like, the half marathon was my biggest goal. I've never had a running goal. I was like so excited for it. And when that's taken, it's like, okay, well, now I just go back to boring old lifting. Like, and getting back into that, but I didn't really allow myself to sulk like I could have. It was like, and it wasn't that I was distracting myself. It was just like, hey, how can I take care of myself in this time? And to me, that meant still, I actually was still eating the same amount of food that I was up until like last week or the week before, where I was like, okay, I like probably don't need to be having 325 grams of carbs when I'm like not like running.
Yeah.
And so I dropped my food a little bit, but that was because I was in a surplus for the reason of running, lifting, being super active. And so it was really just like still tracking my macros, like still making sure I'm fueling my body properly, still making sure I'm sleeping, still making sure I'm like being really intentional with the things I'm doing and still making time for myself. Like still keeping my promise, like when that workout is scheduled in. There was only one time where last week I skipped skipped my workout. Binks, that was the day that Binks got out. And I just like couldn't make it to the gym that day. And I actually turned out like it's actually better if I don't lift before volleyball. I feel a lot better. So it kind of was like a blessing in disguise. But I think that's the biggest thing is I haven't necessarily slowed down, but I also haven't allowed myself to sulk. It's like still taking care of myself because that's what makes me feel my best. Um, so yeah, it's been a weird like navigating, but I didn't let myself like get super upset about it. It's like I think at this point having so many injuries, you're like, okay, well like this isn't going to define me. It's just like it just happened and like that's okay, but I'm still going to do whatever I still can. And if that means my workouts aren't as intense right now, like so be it, but if I do the hard work now, like I can get back to that point in the future.
I think when you look at your health and fitness as a continuation, like we always use the term like training for life, when you see it as something that like is for life, when those injuries happen, you don't catastrophize like, oh my God, like you don't think of like, gosh, what about the next 6 to 12 months? Like what about these things? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you know what you know in your toolkit that you have and the experience that you've had with injury that like this is a temporary setback. Life continues, life goes on, time passes regardless. You're still training for life. It's just allowing your body to rehab for it. And I did remember what I was going to say, which was when we went up to Maine, I was actually able to do, we didn't do like hiking, but we did like a few trails that were good length pretty much after Bo had passed. We like took Addie out to like multiple different trails just to get outside and get her moving and us moving. And I just remember being like, gosh, like this is such a privilege. Like hiking and like after being in my boot, it was my first time being able to like really walk around, which talk about like the divine timing of it all for me to just be able to have that weekend where like I didn't need the boot. I could walk around. I was feeling good. I wrapped it up with like my hiking boots on and I felt like really solid. And I, most of the time, was just thinking to myself, like, gosh, like this is just such a privilege. Like when you are like able to do those things, it actually gives you more gratitude towards your body and like gratitude towards your health because you're like, what an amazing ability to be able to be outside in Maine with my dog, walking these trails, seeing beautiful sights when someone else probably wishes so badly that they would have that ability. And I think that I always try to recenter myself into that of like somebody as shitty as circumstances can be, somebody probably would trade spots with me. Like somebody would be like, I want the ability to go to the gym or I want the ability to go for a walk. So I always find with like coming back from injury, it makes me have more gratitude towards my body. It makes me recognize a lot more of like what our bodies genuinely like carry us through. And like how freaking cool is that? And the best way you can honor your body is through meeting it where it's at and like fueling it appropriately and not forcing things onto your body, like truly listening to your body. It's always communicating to you in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Someone put something really cool. Actually, one of my clients, Frankie, she had put something really cool on my post that I did Monday about, well, it will have been the past Monday, but I'm doing a series now. It's like how I'm rehabbing my knee this week. And just things I'm doing and how I'm coming back from it because I think so many people would stray away from everything just because of an injury. And like you said, like movement is still a privilege. And like and that was the thing of me weighing out the pros and cons of like, if I do this half, will that put me on my ass for months where I'm incapable of doing anything, where I love to hike, I love to be active, I want to walk my dogs. Like even when my knee was at its worst, I was like, Kim's like, are you sure you want to walk? I'm like, I need to. Like this is the stuff that makes me happy. And so it's like if I had the option of just like laying down all day and being depressed, because that's certainly what happened the first time around, my knee, or having the capability to move maybe just less intensely than I would have before. It's like I'm always going to choose that. But she put in the comment of my reel, like, so thankful that I have a coach that prioritizes her rehab and like coming back stronger, because when I get injured, like it's the same thing. Like she would care just as much and like help me through that as well. And I think that's not that everything has to be related to coaching, but it can be really easy to have almost like imposter syndrome when you're a coach, especially like right now where like I do have people training for High Rocks, I do have people training for a triathlon and like all these things. And for me doing the half, the whole reason wasn't like, oh, so I can say I did it too. It's not like that was a big deal to me, but also like part of it was like now I can understand what my clients are going through. That wasn't the main reason. It was for me, but now it's like to not have that mindset is pretty cool where I'm not like, oh my gosh, like now I'm helping them train and like I can't even do this myself. It's like, no, like I can still help them to the best of my capabilities because it's my duty as a coach to just like be educated regardless of how physically able I am. And I think that you can easily get stuck in that imposter syndrome and like why me and that kind of thing and dwell on that. And I certainly had a why me moment, like crying after it happened to Kate, and I'm like, why is it always me? Like I literally take such good care of my body, and somehow I'm always the one that ends up injured. Like why is it me? But it's okay to dwell on that in a sense for like, you know, a little bit, but then coming back to your senses and like it doesn't have to be why me. It's like maybe this is happening to me so that I can set a better example. And like I think that's just an important mindset that I've had to shift to throughout this process.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's certainly easy to be like, why me in this season? I have felt that a lot, like just the last like 6 to 8 weeks. And I think a really big piece of it is just recognizing that like we all are on our own unique journeys. And I've had for the last 2 years clients who certainly are lifting heavier than me and are leaner than me and are doing things that I certainly wish I could do. But I always have to be like, but this is me. And they didn't hire me for my body's capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
They hired me because of my skill set, my personality, my like the way that we just build a relationship. There's so much depth that goes into having a coach. And I think for sure when I first was injured, I was like, I was I was pissed. And one of the best like pieces of advice that my therapist like literally told me, she's like, just feel it. Like she's like, feel the anger, feel the frustration, feel the sadness, feel whatever you need to feel. Because if you don't, it's going to be felt at some point and it's going to be even harder and you're going to like fall off for even longer and you're going to be paralyzed by these emotions. She's like, go feel the suck. Like literally embrace the suck right now. Let it out and you're probably going to feel like $1,000,000 after. Like I tell my clients, like if they come to me and they just need to get shit off their chest, I literally respond and I'm like, I hope that that felt really freaking good. Like I hope that that felt amazing for you to just get it off your chest because we all need a safe space to do that, whether that's within ourselves or like with someone else. Because there's no denying that it sucks when things go wrong or when things aren't ideal in your life. But it certainly doesn't prevent you from being able to do something over nothing. And I think I'm definitely in that season of something over nothing. If that's going for walks instead of hitting the gym, if that's going to physical therapy, if that's like doing these things, I'm still doing more than most people probably would in my situation. And for that, I'm going to be proud of myself. And for that, I feel like I'm winning a gold medal because I'm doing this and I'm leading that example just like you are and like Frankie had said. So yeah, that's a big one. And I think just future goals, yeah, just really moving forward right now for the both of us is like just stay stability, like as much stability as possible. But I hope that this is a year of just like redefining what I ultimately want and falling back in love with fitness in a way that, you know, makes me excited to like work out. It makes me excited to do that. Cause definitely when you've been in injury for years and recovering from injury for years, like working out can feel scary too and can feel really hard. So I'm just trying to fall back in love with the gym setting and trusting my body too. Like another thing is that I really lost connection with my body of like trusting that it can actually take like higher intensity workouts and like handle it because anytime when I was in the thick of my back stuff, like anytime I tried to progress like a single movement, I'd go back 10 steps. Like my back would flare
Yeah.
up and now I would be in a flare for like 2 to 3 weeks and it would be awful and I'd be in so much pain. So you really have to just like build trust with your body. And I think it really helps when you have other people helping you with that. Like for me, my physical therapist has been a godsend to me of being like the person that I go to before I try a new movement, before we progress, before we go in and implement new weight. Like I do it with him first, and he kind of gives me like the green check, and we make sure everything looks good. I make sure I communicate like honestly how my body is feeling. And then obviously I have like my coach and I have my therapist. Like I have people that I can lean on in these times that kind of help me stay level throughout the craziness that has obviously been life, but the continuation of life too.
Yeah. Yeah. Same for me with goals. It's just the gym hasn't been super exciting or appealing to me, but I'm still going. Like I know it's better. It's making me better. It's just not been super exciting. So I'm really only going 3 to 4 times per week. And I used to be like a 4 time a week person plus a fifth day of whatever I really wanted. And now it's like, it is a lot more rest, but just focusing on like movement overall and kind of almost just having fun with fitness again, where it doesn't have to be so serious. I'm not training for anything in the near future. And so it's like, hey, can I just like have fun at the gym again? And, I am in like a break before I start working with my physical therapist again. So it's just like, hey, let's just like train and like
Yep.
work out. And obviously it's things that are best for my knee, but just trying out new things and being able to kind of just go with the flow for the first time in a really long time. Because I've
Mhm.
just been so structured for really the past like 5 years. And before that it was just like I was kind of random. So it feels
Yeah.
good to like kind of just have a little bit of a break from like the structure. So
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes you need that. You need like a little breather in order to come back stronger, feel even better. And I'm certainly looking forward to whatever fire comes back. I don't know. Like I'm just right now I'm just doing the things and just trying to check the boxes. The other thing I was gonna say too, to add to it of just like a tip that and something I'm continuously working on. Like I certainly have not been perfect at this, but I found that when I first got injured, the first couple weeks, 2, 3 weeks basically after the injury, I really fell off my morning routine. Like I was waking up early, I was getting to the gym, I was doing all these things, got injured, and it caused me to like get an extra 1 to 2 hours of sleep, like and lay in bed and stay up a little bit later because it felt like my purpose as like a person had kind of left the building. I was like, well, I'm just going to sleep in and then I'll just wake up, and the moment I wake up I'm going to open up work and I'm just going to like get to business. Like I was basing my day around really when my first like call or obligation was for the day. Whereas what I wish I had done is I wish I had stayed constant. Like I wish I had truly stayed constant in literally like everything that I was doing before and just use a replacement behavior. So instead of getting to the gym in the morning, it's okay, let me wake up and read my Kindle outside if it's nice. Let me tidy up the house, because that feels good for me in the morning. Let me take the time to actually make a different type of breakfast that maybe I usually don't have time for. I wish I had just replaced it with something else instead of sulking. Not to say I didn't definitely need the extra sleep and rest coming off of Mexico. Like the first week, I certainly was like, as much sleep as I can get, I need it. But I think I elongated that a little too much. And I wish looking back now that I had taken a little bit more advantage of the time I did have and seen the power of time, and just knowing that like it doesn't have to just be you getting to the gym. It could be me waking up and doing like my PT movements for my ankle and, listening to a podcast or something. So I just wanted to add that as well, that like having a routine, you could still have a routine, even if the thing that you typically filled your time with like doesn't exist anymore.
yeah, that's good. That's a really good viewpoint on that.
Yeah. Anything
Cool.
else you want to add?
Yeah, I think so.
This
Yeah.
was good. We really came into today and we were like, what do we want to talk about? And we both had the same exact thought of what we
Yeah.
are wanting to talk about. So I can't wait to post updates on all the things and
Yeah.
training wise and where we're going. But no one's journey is linear, and that's okay. There's going to be highs and lows.
For
Hopefully,
sure.
Kelsey and I are the walking examples for you.
Hopefully we have reached the lows and we're on our way up to the highs.
Yeah, yeah. I like to think that I'm just in my Instagram. Like a lot of the people who have DM me are like have so much recognition. Like they really recognize me in that, and they're like, I just want to say like thank you for like continuing to show up. Like I get a lot of compliments from my community. They're amazing on that, where they're just like, the way that you continue to like show up for your clients and show up for social media and like post and do all these things, like, thank you, because I needed to see that it's possible. And then I get people asking me for advice of like, how do you do that? How do you navigate it? And I think one last tip I'll say is like, I don't look at life any different. Like, I think that's the thing in navigating it. Like, life is life. I still have a purpose. I'm still a human who needs to be taken care of. Like, again, it just looks different. And is it perfect? No, I'm certainly a human who, again, I let myself slip and slide for like 2.5 weeks. But then you kind of recenter yourself back into it and you see the greater purpose. And the only way you're going to get better is by doing the hard shit. And it doesn't get easier unless you take that first step to doing it.
Yeah, that's a take too.
Yeah.
All the good nuggets of gold today.
So much. Good little brain dump. Good little yap.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.